Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Mind the Moments Tuesday morning mindfulness session brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. As you all know, this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to talk with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I'm very, very happy to be here this morning with Zeenat Potia, a mindfulness instructor and longtime meditator. Good morning, Zeenat.
Good morning, Suzanne. I'm delighted to be with you this morning, and very warm welcome to all.
We're wonderful to have you here this morning, and nice to see everyone joining. So today we'll start off with a question for the group, as we usually do, and then Zeenat will lead us in a guided meditation practice, share some thoughts with us. And after that, we'll have time for questions. So if you could, open up the chat at the bottom of your screen. And if you're interested in seeing all of the comments, if you can click the drop-down menu, that gives you the option to choose both panelists and attendees. You can see the chats as they come in. So that's it. I'll hand it over to you, Zeenat. What kind of question do we want to ask the group this morning?
Thanks, Suzanne. So I would like to I'm going to open by playing just a short clip of music to introduce the question. And you can listen, and with a very relaxed body with eyes open or closed is up to you. And I'm playing um, a little tiny excerpt from a clarinet solo from Messiaen's quartet for the End of Time, which was first performed in a German prisoner of war camp in 1941. And the whole song has stretches of desolate, sustained, long notes alongside transcriptions of birdsong.
Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you for receiving that. So the question to explore and to reflect upon, and my encouragement would be to share from your own experience, because that is the heart of our mindfulness practice, is the lived experience of awareness. Is in the season of spring, of renewal, of new beginnings, externally in a gross seasonal sense, but also a cultural moment with vaccine distribution on the rise, coming up to over a year of the pandemic, and then our own individual realities within those containers of what are you most looking forward to growing this spring in this season of renewal in your life and your practice. So once again, what are you most looking forward to growing or nourishing in this season?
Okay. Yeah. If folks want to add any thoughts that they have to the chat. Yeah, I'm thinking of my thoughts on that, and well, I'll read what's coming in the chat while I think. Self-acceptance, openness, receptivity, warmth, balance, positive frame of mind, going outside and enjoying nature,
Mm.
reestablishing connections with others once vaccinated. Yes, definitely. Taking chances for positive change.
Mm.
Calm. Changing negative thinking habits. Yeah. I would agree with the person that mentioned about re-engaging with people in a different way. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
the hugging part of our connections is something that I've really missed with good friends.
Mm. Mm.
Renewed commitment to healing my body and soul. And rekindling relationships with people who I haven't seen. Appreciated living in a more relaxed way. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like almost all the shares have an echo of movement, a movement towards, just like sunflowers inch up towards the sun. There's a movement that we each are yearning for. As we come out of the sluggishness of winter and the doldrums of the pandemic, we're eager. We're eager, almost like the robins kind of, chirping, eager to move and to remember that to go gently would be my invitation, because if we've been kind of curled up in a cocoon, there's a pent up desire to kind of spring up, but to unfurl gradually, to give yourself the time and space. It's something that we cultivate in our practice, to go gently. So shall we transition to practice? I think this might be a good moment to do that. So just finding yourself in a comfortable upright posture, relaxing the shoulders, the head and neck, and you're invited to close the eyes. If you prefer eyes open, totally fine. Just make sure gaze is soft and steady. So reclaiming the spaciousness in this moment. By arriving in the here and now and fully in body and heart mind. Meeting yourself exactly how you are. No need to push or try to be something different. Exactly how you are. If there's edges, we all have our edges of grumpiness, sleepiness, frustration, tightness in the body, sadness, whatever the edges are, they're welcome. They're allowed. And we can make room for them. And tuning in. Carrying that thread of the music that we heard, tuning into the inner sounds, the inner rhythms of the body, the heart, mind, emotions, mental formations. And the instrument that we use to tune in is awareness. So I encourage you to tune inward with awareness, tune outward with awareness, and externally, you're tuning in. This morning we'll use sound as our anchor. So tuning in to sound. Wherever you are in your environment, there might be sounds. The low hum of a refrigerator, a car outside, whatever they are. Contact, being aware, the sensory contact of hearing, and then the sound passes, it arises and it passes. If it's tricky to practice dual awareness, internal and external, choosing one to start, and then you cultivate some steadiness, you can open to include both. If the mind is elsewhere, it's not a problem. Recognizing if you're elsewhere, if you're not with sounds, pausing and gently guiding yourself with tenderness and tuning in once again with awareness. Just this, right here and right now, as we're in the heart of our practice, and so full dedication with warmth of heart and sincerity in cultivating sustained present moment awareness, nothing else. Keeping the practice going. Just another minute or so. In an interview in the New York Times, Terry Tempest Williams, writer and environmental activist, responded to the piece that I played you at the start. I hear it as breath. I knew the story before I knew the music, and I was struck by how, in the presence of war, you could have two minds, one watching out for the enemy and one listening for the call of a blackbird or a mockingbird. When I first heard it, I was just devastated by the beauty. Continuing to practice through the sound of the bell with the eyes closed if they were. And then taking your time, allowing yourself the grace of moving slowly, tenderly, as we transition out of practice, gradually opening the eyes, taking in shapes and colors when you see again, allowing the light to come in. You may be moved to do some simple stretching, or just whatever feels good as the body transitions. And then deeper breaths are encouraged too. And staying connected, keeping that contact, the work that we did with the tuning inward and taking in from the outside, that's something we can bring as we transition to our everyday interactions. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeenat. It was lovely. The music was connecting to it at the end was beautiful, and it really very it really sounded very much like bird song. So very connected with nature.
Good. So we have some time, I think, for any questions or comments or reflections. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. At one point, a question had come up about practice and, as you were connecting with sound or different anchors, someone had asked about visualization practice. And is that something that is recommended, or, how
So
that?
I would say that the only context in which I have found personally visualizations to be helpful is when I'm trying to cultivate resilience. If I'm working with self-compassion practice and I'm in the nurture piece of it, then it can be helpful to imagine a place, or when you're in the company of a person or another living being, a pet, for instance, where you feel held, where you feel fully at ease, where you feel like you're cultivating resilience. I think it can be helpful. But typically, I myself find visualizations to be distracting. So it's, you kind of need to experiment and see what's appropriate for individuals' practices.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone was asking on the chat about any other music.
Um, well, that's a tough one, and I'm hesitant to take it on because it's music. It's such a vast thing as well, and generally speaking, when working with sound practice as an anchor in mindfulness meditation, my response, and I hope it's not disappointing to you, is to use no music at all, to really just be with whatever sounds are arising naturally. With that said, music can also be a practice of cultivating resilience because can be a source of great joy, great beauty, great comfort, great solace. And if you orient in terms of the senses in a more auditory way, than if one is feeling very ragged or the nervous system is dysregulated and out of whack, then just finding a quiet place to sit and listen to something that you connect to can be very supportive in practice and in life. And so, if I recommended something, it would be my own, might come across as very bizarre, eclectic tastes. So I hesitate. So I would say, to go explore or to go to your old favorites. And really, the universe is your oyster. Um, we have Tani suggesting that I find listening to instrumental music, no words while working or doing homework helps me focus. Yeah, yeah, like music can be very anchoring, it can be very steadying. And so I can see that it gives you the support to focus on what you're doing. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to share just uh, a couple of lines from Terry Tempest Williams um, that I found really striking and gave me some food for thought on this topic of music and working with sound. And she says, as harrowing and grief filled as this pandemic has been, it has brought us to this place of slowing down and listening. Slowing down and listening. And that has been part of the blessing. If we're going to survive, that is what is required. So I love this encouragement to slow down and listen. And it almost doesn't matter what we're listening to in a way. Well, it kind of does because we don't want to listen to hateful rhetoric. Um, so it does matter what we listen to. But and when I say it almost doesn't matter, what I'm referring to is whether you're playing music or any other kinds of music that you like, or you're listening to birdsong, or you're listening in the silence. There is a very active listening that happens in the silence. So to consider, to hopefully that gives you something to be with.
Yeah, that's very true that this time, although I think many found it frustrating in the beginning, it did make us, it did cause us to slow down and look at things differently. So there are always those silver linings. But I agree, it's you have to find the music that you connect with. So thank you very much, Zeenat. This was a wonderful practice bringing in the music. I think it was lovely.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So we look forward to seeing everyone again on Thursday. We're back here again at 8:30 with Tara Healy, and every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30. So we're very grateful that you've joined and connected with us through the discussion, and we look forward to seeing you on our next session. So thank you again to Zeenat for sharing your insights.
Thank you, Suzanne. Before we go, I just wanted to, we had a question from Colleen about what chimes did I use? So it's this, I get this question not infrequently. It's a Tibetan singing bowl. and they're available freely on the internet. And they have a wonderful haunting echo. There's one particular place that I recommend that's local to me in Massachusetts. They have an online website, and it's a family-run business that's been around for over 30 years. So if you're interested, you can check that out. I would also recommend, there's an app called Insight Timer, and they have various bells that you can choose. And those bells on that app have the same resonance as this bowl. So if you want to find it easily, and there's a free version of the app that you can easily download. So shall we close with just a minute practice?
Mhm.
If you need to go, please, by all means, feel free. And if you can stay to just close, to integrate our time this morning. And in a way to recognize that if you don't have 20 minutes to practice, you can, even a minute or 2 minutes can be a gift. So once again, just quieting, connecting to presence. Allowing yourself to be heard, listening deeply with the eye of inner wisdom, knowing and intuition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zeenat.
My pleasure.
And we hope to see you again soon, everyone. Thanks again for joining. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.